Hello everyone, this is Nikita and thank you for joining me in this video. In this video, I wanted to talk about dynamic system setting. So this is also a very important concept in PEGA which you need to understand and which you can utilize in your day-to-day application development through PEGA. So let's jump into this video and let's understand what we would cover in this particular video, okay? So what we would discuss is what is a dynamic system settings, basically what is the advantage of using it, okay? So we only use those components which are advantageous for us. So we will understand that why DSS would be used. And then the particular scenarios when we use DSS, okay? So we would discuss that also. And then the important concept is how do you update and retrieve value from DSS? So DSS is okay, but how do you use it in your application development? What are the steps you have to take for using DSS? So we will discuss all of these in this particular video. So let's jump into the video and let's start with what is a DSS. Basically, it is nothing but a way to define the different system settings in your application. So in application, you will have to use different type of configuration, different type of settings, right? It may be related to your environment, infrastructure, or it may be related to your application logic also. So that's what it is. It is basically a instance of data admin system settings. So it is not a rule admin system setting. Basically, it is a data admin system setting. So whichever is a data instance is not locked. So this is actually it is actually unlocked kind of rule which you can utilize in your production directly also. So sometimes you have to update something in production where you would find it difficult if it is in a logged rule set, right? But since this is not logged, this is not versioned, you can use this directly in production also. That's why it provides flexibility for the user. So we have to sometime drive your runtime behavior through certain settings. So in that scenario, we can use DSS to drive your runtime behavior of your application. It may be for some application logic related changes, or it may be something else also, but this is basically the use of DSS, okay? So since it is not in a logged rule set, it provides flexibility for the developer to update directly in production. Now, when should we use DSS? When should we use DSS? So basically, first of all, it can be used as a feature flag, right? So suppose there is some feature in which we want to use in production, okay? But after some time, we got to know that this particular feature have to be deactivated for maybe some 2 or 3 months or something like that, okay? So there should be a way to toggle it on and off directly in production. So that's why it is called a feature flag, right? So we can use DSS as a feature flag to toggle on and off any feature. So that's one of the advantage. The other one is can be used to set class or URL name, right? So basically, we should not hard code the class name directly in activity, right? So in obj browser, obj open, we should use some either DSS or some other way to keep the class name. And URL also, right? So URL is something which can be different in different environment. In that way, if we want to use DSS, we have to we should be able to update that directly in the higher environment. So there you can use. But nowadays we do not use URL, we do not store URL in DSS. We have some other way to store, like you can use configuration settings, which we will discuss in some other video. But let's focus on DSS for today. Okay, so the next one is used internally by PEGA to set environment related settings, right? So there can be different kind of settings within PEGA platform itself, right? So there are some like Cassandra, Elasticsearch, all these are one of the different embedded systems which are there in PEGA. So suppose if we want to set versions of these different systems, or there can be other way where we want to utilize the settings directly in production. In that scenarios, we use DSS so that we can update in production directly. Okay, and also PEGA has given some DSS for us to update directly. Suppose they have given some setting for some feature which can toggle on and off, right? So they can give us a DSS. They generally give us a DSS so that we can update directly. It's our use case what we need. Okay, so this is basically the use of DSS. Then we come to the last part, which is the updation and retrieving the value from DSS. For setting the value in DSS, we have one activity which PEGA has given to us, PX set dynamic system setting, which I will show you directly how to use it. But let's first discuss how do we do it. One is the activity which can be used to set the value in DSS or update the value in DSS. Then we have for getting the value or for retrieving the value from DSS, we have a function which is given to us by PEGA, which is get data system setting, where we pass the rule set and the purpose. Purpose is basically the name of the DSS. Okay, so if we do this, we can get the value from DSS. Okay, so let's jump into the PEGA, our application, and understand what is DSS, right? So all about theory we have done. Now coming to the practical. So let's go and see where do we find DSS or dynamic system setting. You'll have to go to sysadmin, then go to dynamic system settings. You will find all DSS here. Okay, basically all of the DSS which are there in PEGA, in your application as well as in PEGA, you will find it here. Okay, so let's open one of them, understand what it is. Okay, so this is one of the DSS which is called prconfig/dno-cassandra version-default. So this is the name of the DSS, this is a predefined which is given by PEGA. Okay. Now coming to important part of DSS, one is the rule set name. We have to give a rule set name whenever we create a DSS. We have to give the rule set name where it belongs to. Though it is not version, it's just the rule set which it's tagged to. Okay, so that is one thing. And then you just have to give the value. It's as simple as that. What value it contains. So this Cassandra version is 3.11.3. So that's what it is. So it is a value. You have a name, which is a name is this, and then you have name is this. The whole thing is the name. And then you have the value. Okay. So this is the DSS. Now let's create one and we will understand how do we actually use this. So let's create one DSS. Okay, so maybe max value. Okay, it can be max value of record to be retrieved. I can give something like this, though it has become too large, but let's rule set. So I have to give some rule set name. Which rule set I want to tag it to? Let me see. Okay, let me give my HR apps. Okay, HR apps. That's the rule set. Okay. Now coming to setting purpose. Setting purpose basically the name. Okay, it's the unique name you have to give. Let me give max value of record. Okay. Okay. So now what value we want it to have for default? I want to retrieve only 5. That's my max value. Let's save this. You see that there is no option of check-in and all because it is not in any locked rule set. It is a data instance. So that's it. So it was created. Now let's use that in the activity. Okay. What we'll do, we will first get the value and then we will set the value. You can do vice versa. Let's first get the value. Okay. So this is the one of the activity I just created. Okay. Now for getting the value, what do we do? Okay. So let's first use property set. Okay. Now you have to use the function, right? We discussed about it. We need to use this function get data system setting. So let's try to find it out in the allotted version, in allotted functions that we have already. Get data system setting. So you see there are 2 functions which can be used. The first one is, both are same, just the only thing is the parameter. The first one has extra parameter, I will show you. A second one has extra parameter. Okay, so you can see that it contains rule set, setting, and then default value. Okay, the first one does not contain the default value as a parameter. So default value is basically when you're not able to get anything from the DSS, what the default value you wanted to return. Okay, so that's the thing. So let's use that and see how it works. Okay. Okay. So first is the rule set name, owning rule set. So my rule set name is HR apps. Okay. The next one is the name of the setting. Okay. So what is the name of the setting did I give? Okay. Let me refresh this. Yeah. So my rule, it's maximum value of record. So let's use that. Okay. Max value of record. All of these are strings, so we should use double quotes. Now the default value. So suppose you don't get anything, what I wanted to return? I wanted to return 10. Okay. So let's test this out. Okay. So for now it's working because it is getting the value from my DSS which I just created. Remember it had 5. I have given the value as 5. So it's working. Let's submit this. Okay. So now we have got it. Let's save it somewhere. My DSS value, max value. Okay. Let's save this. So now you understood to use this here. Let's give the class name. Okay. So we don't need any page, just created already. So that's it. So the next part is setting the value. So I've got it here, right? So you want to, you might want to check whether the max value has a correct value from DSS or not. For that, let's run this. I will trace this. Okay. So now my tracer will show me what it contains. Okay. So you see the param max value is 5. How do you check this? First you have to check in the tracer what step you have to go to. Since it's in the second step, right? So you have to go to the second step and the end step, right? So this here step begins and here steps end. So in the step end, you have to go to this particular property set, okay? Because you have to get the param value, parameter value, okay? So you have to click in here and then go to the unnamed page. All the parameter value will be saved in the unnamed page, okay? So open this and you will find the max value. So this is a parameter. So basically the param dot is just to define that it is a parameter, but the actual property name is max value, right? So max value 5. So this is how it is checked. So if you have any doubt in this tracer and clipboard related thing, I have a video created just to debug any of the problems we have during activity running or anything. So I have a detailed video on that. Okay, so I think we have completed the getting part. So let's use the setting part, right? So let's see how it can be done. So basically this is the activity which you have to call. So for calling any activity, you should first use call method and then give the name of your activity. Oh, sorry. My activity name is PX set dynamic system. PX set dynamic system. Okay. So that's it. You have to use the space here. Fine. Okay. So in this activity, you have to give the rule set name, setting, and then the value. So basically, you're setting the DSS, right? So rule set would be my HR apps, right? And what is my setting? What is the name of my DSS? This is the name. Now value. Now it is asking me what value you now need to set it to. Let's set it to 100, see what happens. Okay. After setting, I will want to see whether it got set or not, right? So that we can directly check, or we can trace it in the activity also, right? But let's run this and then directly check in the DSS. Okay, works. Let's run it. Trace it. I just trace it. It's my habit to trace. Okay. I think it got set because you don't see any error out here. Let's pause this and let's check whether my DSS got updated or not. Let's check here. Okay, updated by Nikita, it's coming. Let's see. Great. So you see my value got updated. I just set it as 100 and it got me 100. So that is as simple as that. So you don't have to do anything else. You just have to use the function and the activity to get and set the value. That's it. So this was all about dynamic system setting. Okay. So now you might ask that I told you that it can be used in different scenario. How we can use it as a feature flag, or how we can use it as anything else, right? So that's as simple as that. You just need to create you can even it's not even needed to create a property. What you can do is, whenever you have a feature, suppose you have a feature in an activity, okay, so there's a requirement now that you don't have to use that feature for some X amount of time, or maybe until you toggle off. Okay, so at what time you have to do is toggle in, I mean. So what you have to do is, you just have to go to the when condition and just give that function which I just told you, right? So that function you can check, and in that function you have to check whether it is on or off, right? So if it is off, then you will want to exit that activity, and if it is on, you might want to keep that activity, right? I hope you got it. Let me show you how it works. Suppose I have one more DSS. Let me show you. So short description be keep the feature. Okay. Owning rule set. Setting purpose. Keep the feature. Okay. Create and open. So now keep the feature is true. For now, when it is first important to production, it is true. Now they are telling us that you have to toggle off. Okay, so what do? You have to go here and make it as false now, since you want to toggle it off. After doing that, what you have to do is, you will also have to keep a when condition, that whether like when it should run, this activity should run when it is toggled on, otherwise it should exit the activity altogether. So something like that. Maybe let me show you. Suppose when I put a when condition here, okay, and what was the name of my new one is keep the feature. Keep the feature. Okay, I don't need a default value. Okay, so for now let's use this keep the feature. Okay, so now you check whether it is true or not. So suppose it is true, then you want to continue, and if it becomes false, you want to just exit the activity. As simple as that. You just have to check whether your flag is on or off. Accordingly, you have to run the activity. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so I think that's it about today. I will come again in the next video on some different topic. I hope that it will be useful to you. It would be used in your day-to-day development. So thank you for joining me here. See you again in my next video. Till then, see you. Bye-bye.